Go live.
We're live.
We're live.
We're live. I know I'm alive.
We're alive and we're going live.
We're going live because I'm alive and he's alive. Now, be sure to like and subscribe.
right away. You
Like,
don't even have to know who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, but you're doing this.
comment, like, and subscribe all at the same time. You better watch out. Well, Merry Christmas to everybody that celebrates Christmas, and you don't, that's okay too. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show that doesn't have a name, that doesn't really have a structure yet, but I have to say, the best combination on the planet. I'm Rebecca L. Norrington, Global Happiness Specialist, Inner Peace Practitioner. I'm throwing in Oracle, but most importantly, a student, an ongoing student, always learning, always growing, always expanding. And this is my son.
Mini Oracle, many global specialist, happiness specialist, and also, what was your other thing?
Student, happiness specialist, inner peace practitioner.
Oh, I like that. I like inner peace practitioner. I can definitely own that one.
Okay. So are you copycatting right off the bat?
I am going to copycat you right off the bat. Makes it easy for me. And who doesn't like cats?
And who doesn't like easy?
And who doesn't like easy copycatting cats?
Get it?
Bam.
Bam. Well, I think the show is starting off really nicely.
I do too. Crazy.
Yes, I'll admit it.
Crazy. I'll admit it. Crazy is the new normal, if you haven't heard.
Oh, I've heard that for years.
Years, darling, years.
Crazy is the new normal. So this show that we are just starting, this is our third episode. You're welcome. is intended to be inspiring, uplifting, information, educational, and most importantly, entertaining.
Double entertaining. Are you entertained yet?
Not yet.
I wasn't asking you.
Oh. Speaking of which, what a good segue to the first. I wanted to spring this on you because I only heard it this morning. When we were coming up with the show, we were saying, after 35 years of me asking this kid to do a show with me, and one of the things we're talking about was marketing. Do you know who Rick Rubin is? He's a very, very prominent producer. You know who he is? He's produced Jay-Z.
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, white guy, long beard.
Rick Rubin. Okay.
Rick Rubin. Anyway, go look him up. He never wears shoes. He's always walking around barefoot. He sits in the yoga position. He sits in the yoga position.
Yes.
Anyway, so he was asked this question. It was about being creative, and he was asked this question. He says, "Well," he asked, "Well, who is your audience?" And he said, "The audience is always last. I never think about who the audience is." And then he started to explain. He says, "I never think about the artist." He says it's all coming from me. He said it's like writing in your journal or writing in your diary. He said, that's what you share with the world because that's you.
Wow. That's pretty deep.
Let me just finish. So he said, that's what you share. And he says, have you ever been to these movies that it's just not a good movie? It's just, it's
something's not working right.
A lot of production, a lot of bells and whistles, but it's just not a good movie. And he says that's what happens when people market to an audience. He said, if it comes from your diary and your journal, he didn't use the word authentic. He says, but that's real. He says, he says that other thing is commerce, making money. I never think, he said, I never think about an audience. It's never about an audience. It's never about the other person. It's never, what is the other person going to think? What is the other person going to like? What he's saying is one of the things that subtracts from your happiness, I'm up to 54 program behaviors now, is caring what other people think. Your thoughts.
Well, now you're reminding me, we were talking about this. Yeah, I'm on timed. We're using a timer, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep the ball moving here, get right to it and get out. So we were talking about the word authentic. I remember from last week, what does it even mean to be your authentic self? And I feel like you just explained it. And I like what you said, because I was asking Mom, well, what's our target audience? This is what I've heard from YouTube videos. What's our target audience? Is it mothers, sons? Is it parent, kids? Is it everybody, young, old? And you told me basically the same thing, but in your own words about, I'm not concerned with the audience. The audience will find us. We just do us and be us. So I do really like that. I'm just thinking of the journals on my phone and things that I write that are private. And why are they private? Well, I don't know exactly. One thing that's coming up is I'm just afraid to share that. I don't know if it's even a program. I'm just so used to, that's private, that's private, that's private. No one can see that. No one can see that. And I'm afraid of what others are going to say or do. And you just said that, taking away from happiness, caring about what other people think. Well, what do I think of my journals? What do I really think of my journals? And talk about self-judgment. And even today, and this is the last thing I'll say on this, is when I talk to my God, my spiritual homie, my spiritual buddy, I'm buddying up with this relationship as of today. Let's make this a relationship of friendship, of you're my homie, I'm your homie. You know how I talk, you know how I walk. There's nothing to hide with that homie relationship, that buddy. So just more acceptance, more self-acceptance, and I'll leave it there.
More self-acceptance and more self-examination. Great points. Let me, if you, well, you, of course, all your life, this kid has been stuck with me all of his life. What a lucky chap.
It's just the way the cards were dealt for me.
Well, you picked me.
Mm-hmm.
This may be an hourglass. This is a long time.
And for the audience that's not really an audience, because we're not thinking about the audience, just between you and me, she did confirm that it was 3 minutes long, or 5 minutes long.
Well, I said I didn't know how long it was, either 3 or 5 minutes, but I never checked it. So that's
my point. Well, we're checking it live with you right now.
And let me tell you something. And so that's the big difference between me and this one. He's more on the ball than I am a swing by the seat of my pants kind of gal.
Well, you are on the ball in ways that I'm not on the ball. It's just not in the preparation. I'm all prepare, think about it, talk about it, wonder about it. What are we going to do? Write about it. And
no. Hell no. I'm already bored with the talk about it. But let me get back to the self-examination, and let me share with you what happened to me. And in fact, Nathan, we're talking about our segments. So we have segments where we have segments, wasting time, customer service, bad advice. And then I also wanted to put a segment in. I wanted to get your feedback into sharing and what during the week impacted you, or just impacted you, or got you thinking a different way, or changed your perspective. So that Rick Rubin was my contribution.
Okay, I love that. I wrote it down. I'm gonna let that marinate, because I love those. What are those moments? What are those things that just shifted the way I was thinking, shifted my perspective? Because they happen all the time. Maybe not all the time, but they are notable.
Yes. Yes. And this may be an hourglass. I mean, we've already,
Yeah.
anyway, so back to, what I wanted to share. I even wrote it down, what I've discovered. So there's two entities. There's the universal self, which I believe that I'm consciousness, I'm conscious energy, spirit having a human experience. The universe is living everything through me, is experiencing everything through me. So this Rebecca L. Norrington, the one that you see right here, right there, that's a program person. That's really not my it's not my identity. Do you know what being a happiness specialist, you know what I discovered about Rebecca L. Norrington? She likes, she likes complaining. And I notice people that complain and I make judgments, but since I've been in this house, I've been in this house for what, November, December, well, the whole house thing, maybe 4 months. All I did was complain. This isn't done right. This wasn't done in time. I mean, just complaining, but I didn't view it as complaining. But that Rebecca L. Norrington likes to complain. I'm just sharing. And she likes to judge and she likes to critique. So I'm distancing myself, practicing, scratch that. I'm practicing distancing myself from this Rebecca L. Norrington because she's not satisfied. Happiness specialist is not happy all the time. So I'm distancing myself from that identity. What is your insight?
So good. Okay, Nathan, I really like that. Yes. Well, I mean, I will just copycat off of Rebecca L. Norrington, whoever the hell's talking in that square. Nathan does like to complain, judge. What did you say? Complain, judge. And I also will say, think, and think again, because that's what we're talking about when we talk about being prepared. Part of it is just being up in his head. I'll be talking about him. Think, be prepared. I don't know what's coming around the corner, and I got to think about it so that I can feel like I have some essence of control, some heads up, some knowing that he doesn't really have. He doesn't have knowing. So this thinking is this false security in knowing, and he will think himself until he's thumped. So I'm thinking about you with distancing yourself. It's really like a mind warp to distance myself from that, because this does feel like me. That feels like, and I do think it's part of me. I am walking with this Nathan identity, but it is not all of me. And that's what I want to remember. Now that's crazy. Yeah. I'll also say this because I brought up fear, and there's a lot of fear in this. That thinking is worry, fear. What are they going to think of me? I'm not going to be able to handle being successful, money, different apartment, different job. My cats are going to be in trouble. My parents are going to be in trouble. My friends, everything. Worry. And yeah. That's a Nathan thing.
So here we go. And then the universe gave this to me.
The suspense is killing me.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Here we go. We've talked about witnessing, or I've talked about witnessing this one, watching her, witnessing her. Oh, look at her squirm. Look at her twist in the wind. Look at her criticize. Look at her complain. I've talked about that. But then the universe gave me this. I'm saying, oh, I'm just witnessing. If I'm still feeling something, if I still have some kind of emotion about it, if I have some kind of feeling emotion, I ain't witnessing. I'm still that. When you really witness, it's like watching a television show. Oh, scratch. Oh, what was the example? A television show, witnessing.
I like that example. I like the example of television show, theater, movie, because they could be going through war in the movie, excited, breakups, whatever they're feeling in that movie. That's not me. They could be feeling it, and I might be witnessing it, being able to name it from the outside, but I'm not feeling it. They're feeling it. So I don't want to go off too much on a tangent, but
What's your question?
well, my question is, I'm talking about theater, and I've heard this said about the purpose of art and theater is we want the audience. I'm talking from the people that are creating it and putting it on. We want the audience to feel something. That's why we made this. That's why we have these ups and downs. We want them to feel something. So my question is, what is that? I'm feeling it and I want you to feel it. I don't know if that's, and it is tied into the identity, because can't I witness this and feel it at the same time?
Well, if I'm okay,
We're getting into, yeah.
Great question. But if you're witnessing, if I'm looking at a tree out there, I'm not feeling it. Well, that's a good question. We may have to come back to
Yeah.
because that's a really good question. Let's what do they call it? Let's unpack that a little bit more, dive in a little bit more on the next show. And specifically, to be very clear, what are we diving in on? We're diving in on what does it mean? How does it feel just to witness? In fact, how do you practice witnessing yourself how do I practice witnessing myself when I'm complaining, when I'm criticizing, when I'm judging? How do I practice just witnessing? Because I can feel that when I can feel the judgment. I can feel it. Because judgment doesn't feel peaceful. Criticizing doesn't feel peaceful. Well, scratch all of that, because that's another story. I'm going to go back to our original show, and where I hit you with a baseball bat to the back of your head, where I said, there is no meaning, there are no stories, there's no definition. And I'm practicing no stories about anything. How do I have an empty head without being locked up in a mental institution?
Well, I love what you said. I love going back to empty head, no meaning. I like the question of how do I practice witnessing, because now it feels like an action. It feels like okay, we can talk about what we mean and what we're talking about, but what are we actually doing when we say I'm witnessing or I'm not witnessing? What is that? What is that? What's happening from my experience? I think that's a really good question. And it puts it, for me, it takes it out of my mind. It takes it out of the stories, the thinking. What am I doing when we say, when I say inner peace practitioner, what am I doing? How do I practice inner peace? I mean, these are words, we talk about this a lot with, you said authenticity, these words that we throw around. What does that look like in the real world? Oh, I'm being my authentic self. Because we can really get caught up in the jargon and the talking and the labeling and all of those stories, but what is happening in reality?
And the answer is nothing.
Well, that was easy.
Hold on, keep them entertained.
Well, I will say thank you for joining. This is a easy. This is a welcome break, and we're back.
Easy.
I love that you. I love that you have that easy button.
That was easy.
Welcome to our guest, easy guest.
The easy button.
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Easy.
Hi, Mr. Easy. So glad you could join us.
And so, is there a struggle? See, the struggle is this human struggle. Is there anything in the universe that's struggling? No. The universe doesn't struggle for anything. I say universe, some people say God, some people say a source, higher power, spirit, whatever word you want to use. And welcome all you atheists too. I mean, you're part of the group. You don't have to believe in a God to be able to practice. When I talk about practice, these program behaviors, all it is putting a spotlight on the programs, and then gradually eliminating. How do you eliminate it? How do you eliminate them? Hands up. How do I practice witnessing? What did you say? How do I practice? What was your other question?
How do I practice witnessing? How do I practice inner peace?
Thank you. Yes.
And it sounds like what you're doing right now is I don't know. You said nothing. There's no meaning. I don't have to know everything. I don't have to have it figured out. The question is enough. And the question is more than enough for now. Anything more than a question is a story. It's me trying to work something out. It's me talk about crazy.
Now I'm getting chills again. So now you're talking about the question is enough. The awareness is enough. The awareness is the work. Being aware of all of this. Being aware, you said earlier, about these thoughts that keep coming. That the incessant, the constant barrage of thoughts, that just the stories that never end. I have them as soon as I wake up. All day.
Well, let me piggyback really quickly on that. Just today, what am I doing with these thoughts? Because I had them as well, and I did sit in a chair. Oh, this audience, this might be the bad advice segment. When you see her cover her ears, just know that there could be bad advice, bad suggestions, bad storytelling on the way. I think this is actually pretty helpful. I'll wrap it up soon. Anyways, I was sitting with the thoughts. What did I do? Is I just listened to the noises around this space. And like you said, I'm not feeling the feelings if I'm witnessing. And when I was listening to the sound of pitter patter from a cat every once in a while, a faint sound from the heater, I wasn't listening to my thoughts. I did feel separate from the thoughts, and I had to keep going back over and over, listen to the sounds, thoughts and stories, listen to this. So that's what I was doing to practice that.
And, now you bring up another point, a very good point. It is a practice. You don't have to try to do anything, just practice. And practice is small doses. Just even if you practice 2 minutes a day, 1 minute a day, 30 seconds a day, keep them really, really small. When the good news is about this happiness thing, and let me just be clear, because I didn't say this at the beginning, but this happiness that I'm talking about, it has nothing to do with anything external. It is a personal vibration. It is a personal energy of contentment. And what is that? What is even contentment? See, now the words, but I can feel when I'm inspired action, I'm out of my head, and the stories keep coming, but I am not putting any power, not giving any focus to the stories or any weight to the stories. I already know the stories. I already know that the stories are bad news. I'm done with the stories. So now I have this is my problem, Nathan. Help me with this. Because it goes back to acceptance. How do I navigate through this life, through this world, and listen to these people with their stories, and then they're believing that their stories are real, And this world is a world of stories. How do I navigate and be at peace with, I mean, I'm this, and the world is this, and I'm this with, I don't want any, I'm not story. How do I, the question is, how do I accept these people with all their stories?
Absolutely. I think it's a great question. And I love that there's all this of them and there's only this of me. How it can feel so overbearing, so suffocating, so insurmountable. All of these stories from other people, from TV to real life to the cashier, all over the place. And the only thing that was coming to me, which bringing back to what you talked about in the beginning, was this self-acceptance. Their stories are no different than my stories. And I can practice listening. Well, as far as me, when I practice listening to my stories and naming it, Nathan, that's a story. That's not a story. When I can do that, practice, like you said, practice, day after day, moment after moment, time and time again. Then when I hear it from the outside, which is a lot, I can do the exact same practice. And even with you and me in any conversation, there is still a practice of, oh, what she said might have been a story. What she said feels really true to me. Feels, no, I don't say true, but it doesn't, I don't know what that is. It doesn't feel like a story to me. And it seems to not ever end, this dance back and forth of story, not story, story, not story. So the practice continues. And the last thing I'll say, I just know for me, when I'm thrown into the world, whether I'm in a group situation or I'm watching TV and there's a lot, I feel like I need extra awareness and vigilance so I don't get all wrapped up in believing all this for truth. That this could be someone's mind chatter that I'm listening to. And like you said, then this is really the last thing, but going back to that movie example, which I really like a lot, I could be watching a movie of people's mind chatter, commerce, trying to sell a product, or I could be watching a movie of truth and it hits me different. We know those movies. There are movies that me and mom watch over and over and over, and it's not necessarily because of the plot or the special effects or some acting. It's because there's some truth in this movie.
There's some lesson. There's something. Well, yeah. There's something that touches. By the way, when you come and visit, if you feel inspired, and this is how we our relationship. There's never any, well, you got to do this. We're going to do this. It's always open-ended.
We try to take the pressure off and stay flexible.
Stay flexible with everything, and we can change on a minute. Change. What was my question? Oh, so the movie that I would like you to see, if you feel like it, I just saw it maybe a month ago, and I taped it. Doctor Strange. Did I tell you that already?
The Marvel movie, or is that a different one?
Marvel movie, Doctor Strange.
I did see it.
Where he was a surgeon. He was a surgeon, and he lost.
Are you talking about the multiverse? That one? He's going
no,
different.
No, multiverse. It's just Doctor Strange by himself. It's how he turned into Doctor Strange.
No, maybe I didn't see that. All right, sounds good. Let's do it. We can even do a reaction video afterwards, and we can do a talk about the movie and have that be an episode.
Now,
because I know there's good stuff in the movie from what I already know.
It's the Matrix. It's the Matrix. Just another Matrix.
Yeah.
You know, I got chills when you said that. Wow. So happiness is a practice skill. Contentment, inner peace is a practice skill. It's all about the practice. I'm on this journey. And let me say this, 68 years old. You're a youngster. I just remember all of my life, just this wanting more, this just so much dissatisfaction. How do I enjoy the moment? There's so much to do. If I'm watching TV, I'm wasting time. Oh, that was the topic. We were supposed to talk about wasting time. I'm wasting time, but all of those are stories. So from here on out, I'm in the fourth quarter. I'm not going into the stories. I'm doing whatever I'm inspired to do, whether I sit and watch a Family Feud for 24-hour marathon. I'm going to enjoy I'm no more self-criticism. No, I'm going to do what I want to do. And what I wanted to say is this is a story, but it's just been so much program of dissatisfaction with everything. Just dissatisfaction with accomplishments. I should be more global. All of this, just dissatisfaction. And I'm done with it. It's just like I remember my mother dieted all of her life. Every time she's on a new diet. I am so sick of this dissatisfaction with everything. I'm done with it. I only have a limited amount of time and I'm fucking done with dissatisfaction. Done. I need a drink. I need a drink.
It's crazy tea.
This tea is crazy.
Well, I absolutely love what you said. Done with it. I'm on the same boat. I'm in the same boat with being done. And I could call it so many things. All the things we named earlier: dissatisfaction, judgment, complaining, not enoughness. I should. The stories, all of that. Whatever that voice that is just incessantly beating me down. I was told by someone, this isn't anything new, but they said the only person standing in your way is you. They're talking to me, and I'm really sitting with that. Are other people really putting their dissatisfaction on me, or is that something I'm doing? That's a self-practice. And what I also heard when you were talking is, I'm going to do what I want to do. There's so many times that I don't know what to do. I feel indecisive. Sometimes I feel indecisive about what I even want to do. What I want to eat. I don't even know if I want to do the work I'm doing. I told you this before with cleaning. Did I want to clean, or whatever it is, whether I wanted to or not, I did it. It happened. And there is absolutely no reason to bring in shame or dissatisfaction around that. Unless I'm spending time beating myself up. We talked about that word self, just self. And I'll say this, the last thing I'll say is, inner peace practitioner, happiness practitioner. There's also a self beating up practitioner. And I don't even know, I can't even sit here and tell you why I do that or why I've done that. I can have a story. But I do know it's been practiced, and it's just shifting it. So that is not my practice anymore. It's actually my practice to not do that. And then if I'm not doing that, then what am I doing in its place? Stuff like this. This doesn't feel like beating up on myself, what we're doing right now. This feels like inner peace practitioner practicing. This feels like happiness practicing. This feels like self-acceptance. This feels like witnessing. I'm sitting here the entire time witnessing my thoughts and just listening and practicing. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm going to find out as I go.
And so what you're talking about is another practice, is being okay, trusting. You're talking about practicing trust, being okay with uncertainty, being okay with whatever comes along the journey, knowing that I'm going to say the universe, knowing that the universe is holding my hand. I am the universe. Well, what am I going to have a problem with? What am I going to have a problem with? I am the universe.
Well, and from a physical scientific standpoint, we are universal particles that exist on other planets and in space, and the elements. We are made up of those things. And when we talked about bringing it at that atheist standpoint, all of the standpoints, all of those perspectives, that's not a religious, even quote unquote spiritual. That's just what it is.
And keep me with the truth of what it is. Just keep me with the truth. And that's one of the things that the universe gifted me with. I can feel when it's the truth. I mean, my body chills up. I say the truth or universal. When the universe touches me or I connect, well, I don't even know what it is, but I can feel my body chilling up. And that's one of my gifts. I didn't even, when you were younger, Nathan, I don't think I have that. Yeah, I don't remember feeling that until maybe last couple of decades. I didn't have that when you were, I don't think so. Or how about this? I didn't pay attention to it. And that's another thing. You know, we're all born with this intuition, with this intuition, naturally, intuitively. And so the practice is to keep that going, because that's, for me, it's universal. The universe's GPS.
Interesting. So now and how do we keep that going? Well, you have your way of keeping it going. I have my way of keeping it going. And I learn a lot from listening to you, listening to others. And I got to step into my own self and look into the mirror and do it my way. Because that universal GPS is my GPS.
He did it his way. Once I was a few. I didn't know a time of trouble.
That's one of her favorites.
And I'll be through. You can join in if you want.
Yes, I don't really know the verse.
No, I don't know the words
keeps going that way.
But then I heard it all.
Oh.
And
most importantly, I did it my way.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you, one and all. And I'm going to say, is that the end of today's show?
I think so. That's a great little send-off finale.
Yes, I believe today. Thank you for listening. We still don't have a name. We're still figuring this out. And you are lucky enough to watch. And you are lucky enough to witness it. And you are lucky enough to be in the beginning stages of what this is, whatever it is. And we're live every Saturday morning, 9:15 to a little bit closer to 10. It doesn't matter, Pacific Standard Time. Join us every week. I'm Rebecca L. Norrington, and this is
Nathan, or at least, or is it Nathan?
Exactly. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. That's from Esther. And my quote is, happiness, inner peace, contentment is a practice skill. I'm going to practicing it forever.
And my quote is, "Was goody."
Oh. And in fact, that would be a really good show. Let's put that down. What annoys you? What annoys me? And let's get real.
And let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Let's. Would you want to know what bothers him about me? I mean, how can I bother anyone?
Well, listen, I think that would be such a great show. My only problem with that is it's only one show. We would have to do a monthly special for me.
Now that's funny.
Now that's funny.
Thank you all. Okay, Nathan. Great show.
Yeah.
And stream.